Hello, everyone. So I'm excited to be on here for day 5 of the Beltane Bash. Now, I promised a few people that I would invite them, so I'm going to do that. And because I have no idea how many actually clicked to join this group, I'm just going to invite everybody that I can on my list and see who shows up. So as you join, say hello. Let me know that you're here. It is not showing Rosa. Hello, Mariah. No sound. Hello, Rebecca. It says no sound. Let's see. Should be sound. Mariah, do you have sound? So I'm definitely have sound. So it must be on your end. But thank you for bringing that up, because if there wasn't sound, I would definitely want to know. So I see, oh, Rebecca says, oh, my sound was turned off. That happens. I hit mute on my computer sometimes. Like the other day, I had to work at the auto shop, and so I turned my computer on mute. I could have easily forgotten to turn it back on. Maria says, I can hear you. Awesome. So I'm excited to come on today to talk about the magical realms. Now I know that everybody's at different levels of their knowledge, so I have channeled on what they want me to talk about, but if you have questions as I go, please pop them in. I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability or what I'm guided to share. So I'm definitely open to your guys' questions. And if you're watching the replay, say hello, let me know that you're here. And please, as you go, feel free to pop in questions, and I'll make sure to come back and check through and, you know, see if there's anything that I missed. So, because there's a lot of new people here, my name is Lelantia. I'm a psychic realm channeler and healer, and I specialize in working with the magical realms. So I work with mermaids. I don't know why I said mermaids. I don't usually say mermaids first. But anyways, I work with mermaids, unicorns, mermaids. See, I did the order different. Now I'm confusing myself. Fairies, elementals, dragons, all the different sorts of magical beings. And I bring through guidance, healing, support. I help you to find the magic of who you really truly are, which is kind of the core of what I do. Is I help you see who you really truly are, that impact that you are meant to make. I help you open your abilities so that you can make that impact. And I help you to just like step out into the world as your truest version of yourself, because we're all called to do some amazing things here. And sometimes it's a little hard to do it on our own, right? So I channel the magical beings to bring through a lot of information, but I also do work with your spirit guides. I work with angels sometimes, ascended masters. I work with Merlin a lot. Oh, and I was going to tag, because hello, Elizabeth, because I can't tag Rosa. I'm just going to invite her in this way. Hopefully that shows up for her. So today, because I want to keep this a reasonable length of time, I'm going to share as much as I can and what they deemed as most important. But one thing that I can tell you guys is that the elementals and the different magical beings, but especially those that are, you know, like the keepers of the earth, have been very, very loud and very, very present in this way of this importance of stepping up and this importance of taking up the mantle or the staff, as I see it, because it is so important for us to make that difference, because they can't do it all on their own. We have brought a lot of things to the earth that aren't so great, right? So we've done a lot of damage, and they can't fix it all. They need our help, and they realize that they need our help. So I channeled a message this morning, or I posted it this morning, from an elf that had come forward, and she wanted me to share with people that they are really coming forward a lot more. It used to be that the elves especially in my experience, were very selective. They still are to a certain degree, but very selective in who they would connect with, who they would give messages to or work with in any way. But they're coming forward for more and more people. Now, I'm not going to talk about elves a lot today because there's just way too much. Like, each of these could be more than an hour's teaching. So I'm just going to go through as much as I possibly can. But that message, hello, Natasha, that message is that importance of really hearing that call and stepping up, however it may look for you. Hello, Lauren. Awesome. Lots of familiar faces here. Very cool. I'm so glad that you guys are joining me here. So magical beings through the ages have been called many different things. So we put labels on things today that are very different from what they may have looked like in lifetimes past. So sometimes when we want to call something something, there may not be a name that really registers as what it is, especially when it comes to the elementals. So yeah, there are the elementals that are these or maybe I should reach beyond elementals, because if we wanted to really get into it, we could say the elementals are just, you know, the beings that work with the specific elements. But it goes beyond that, because we have, you know, the nature spirits and the fairies, and there's so many different beings, and really we don't even realize how many kinds of beings there are, and putting a name on what they are is sometimes a little bit difficult. So I've had experiences where I've had beings come forward, and it's like, okay, so I can just call her a fairy, but if you want to get technical about it and be like, well, she's not really a fairy, but sometimes that's just like the easiest label to put on it rather than describing them. One thing I will say is that they don't all look how we expect them to look by Hollywood standards, I would say. But Brian Froud is an artist that some of you may be familiar with. Maybe you have his tarot decks or some of his books. And you know what? I didn't even think about this beforehand. I have some of his books. I could have brought them up here, but I don't think I have any by me. They're all downstairs. But his depictions of fairies, nature spirits, elementals, magical beings of all kinds is what I would say is kind of the most accurate. And some of them, by human standards, by our conditioning, are a little bit scary or ugly, and they're just very different than what we may think they should look like. So that's something just to keep in mind. But I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about labels, and that kind of goes along with it. So just keep that in mind. I channel all the information that I get, and with my own abilities and what I see, feel, hear, know, all of it kind of works all together. So I do see them pretty clearly in my mind's eye, but not with my physical eyes so much. I do see some things with my physical eyes, but generally it's like the energy of things. So the first thing I actually wanted me to talk about was realms, because this is titled Magical Realms. So we're going to start with that a little bit to kind of clear up what that means. And this is my interpretation, how I interpret the energy and what has been explained to me through my own channeling. So other people may explain it in different ways. I wouldn't say anybody is wrong. It's just a different way of how you interpret how it works. So they're explained in so many different ways. This is just my way. There are worlds just outside ours that exist in different dimensions. So the frequency, the vibration is slightly different from ours. So that means it doesn't exist physically in our world. It's just outside of it. So I see Earth, and then slightly outside of the reality of Earth is the elemental realms. So the elemental realms exist just at a slightly higher vibrational frequency than we do. It's not terrible different. It's just a slightly higher frequency. Maybe slightly is putting it a little low. It's a bit more than slightly, but it's not that much higher than ours. It's nothing up there like with the angelic realms, right? And the mermaids exist in many different realms. So mermaids exist in elemental realms. They exist on other planets. They exist in so many different places. And this is my experience by working with them. And it's still kind of like this discovery, because I feel like they're constantly bringing through more information. As we tap into that, they bring through more. So I'm excited to see what else they bring through, but I do see them in so many different ways. And we're going to talk about them more in a minute. Unicorns are very different from the others because they exist in a realm that is closer to the angelic realm. So they are a much higher frequency or higher vibration. Their vibration is much closer to angelic than it is to elemental. But they bring themselves down to be able to connect with us, just like angels do, so that they can help us. And I'll talk more about unicorns in just a minute. And dragons exist within all of them. So dragons are one of those that they kind of cover everything. And when I talk about dragons, I'll get into that more. We tend to get stuck on trying to make sense of it all, and we need to kind of create our own boxes to explain how things work, because our human mind comprehends things a certain way. Now, the more you expand your consciousness and awareness of things, the more you begin to understand different dimensions and different realms and different realities and different planets. And don't get too worried if you're not yet feeling like you can conceive how it all works, because as you step into the energy more, you'll begin to understand more. So if you need to create those boxes to understand, that's fine. My mind has always been one. My mind wants to work in that linear way where I just want to see things. I don't want to say I want to see things, but I see things in a way that's just like very, my brain needs to understand it in a certain way, I guess is what it is. And as I expand my own knowledge, my own understanding, just by channeling these beings or spending time with them, then I begin to understand that there's much more. And I know that there is even much more than what we have even been shown yet. So as we all, as a collective, step into this energy more, then we receive a lot more information about how things really work. And we can, those of us that have been awakened for a few years, we see the difference even from 6 years ago to today and how much has changed. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a drink. Talking too fast. So I talked a little bit about, them existing on other planets, but I have been shown that they do exist on other planets as well. So it's not just that fairies exist in this realm that's slightly beyond our own, and they do work on Earth. They do work on other planets as well. And some of those are actually coming forward more today to travel through portals to this reality, I guess, is the closest word that I can think of, so that they can make an impact here as well. And one thing that I noted as I was channeling this and being shown the things that I was supposed to talk about or what I should talk about, they showed me, and I've been shown this before as well, that there are also animals on other planets that may have gone extinct here. So just a little side note, not really terribly relevant to the conversation today, but we don't even know that there is so much beyond what is here, present here, and things that can be, we may think it's hopeless, or animals that are extinct on Earth, we think that they're gone forever and ever and ever, and really there are, I don't want to say that they all exist on other planets, but some of them, at least, exist on other planets. Because I remember a while back, there was an animal that went extinct. I don't remember which one it was, but I was in London at the time, and I really got a really heavy feeling. I felt really, really sad about this. And at that time, I said to my friend who was with me, who's psychic, I said, do they exist on other planets? And she said yes, and I had heard yes as well. So we both heard yes at the exact same time, and it was like really brought me some peace. Even though it's like, well, we really want them here, we really need them here, for Earth to be in balance, but they aren't totally gone, at least. So how do we see them here, the magical beings? We see them here by tapping into who we really truly are. But generally, we don't see them with our physical eyes. There are very few people that do, but there are some who do see them with their physical eyes. And sometimes they really just have to choose to show themselves. It's very rare that someone just sees them and they don't know that a human can see them at that moment. But yeah, some can see through that illusion, is how they worded it, which is, my brain doesn't quite want to understand that. But it is this illusion because we are seeing an illusion of what is real. It's not what we see isn't what is all real, if that makes sense. Sometimes it's hard to explain. So for me, how I see things and how I receive information is through all of my senses. So I see in my mind's eye or with my third eye. I also read the energy. I know, so I have a knowing, I have a feeling, I hear the information that as I receive it, all works together. All of my abilities work together in this way to get a cohesive picture and understanding. And it all happens pretty instantaneously. So for example, I was walking along it's a little stream, I guess. It's like really, really tiny little stream, actually. And I was walking along it, and I suddenly knew that there was a mermaid in the water, and she wanted to connect with me. And I immediately began, like, in that acknowledging that she was there, I immediately began to receive the information. I began to see her, feel her. I knew what she was saying. I knew it was coming in. And all of this information just kind of became known, like, instantaneously. But it can be different for everyone. So it may be that one or two of your senses is stronger than any of the others. My seeing is generally my strongest, but sometimes it's not. I have learned to just go with whatever. Sometimes it's more important to feel things. Maybe I'm going to believe things more if I feel it. That's how it tends to work for me. I believe it when I feel it most strongly. But whatever it may be for you, then just trust in that at this greater level. Now, I believe that everybody has every ability. It's just a matter of opening up to that, trusting at a deeper level, doing the healing that may be keeping you from doing that. When I work with my coaching clients, this is something that I teach, and I open abilities as we work together. So that has been my experience, and everybody's different. Sometimes you're only supposed to, hear, or you're only supposed to feel until you reach this other level or learn a lesson regarding something. So it's very different for each person. So I'm going to skip my notes because I didn't read them as I was talking. So the next part of my notes didn't match up the previous parts of my notes. I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm reading that correctly, but basically what it comes down to in our connection with the magical beings is we have forgotten because we lost that connection lifetimes ago. And we lost that connection because human ego and because of our fears and our lowering our vibrations. So when we look to Lemuria and we look to Atlantis and we look to Avalon and any of those lifetimes where we really worked at this much higher vibration, we lowered it, and so we lost that connection with the magical realms because we weren't really at the same level as them anymore. And we were very afraid, and we did a lot of judging of situations, although judging, I don't know is quite the right word, but we tend to have an idea of what is right and what is wrong, or think we have an idea of what is right and what is wrong, and it's not necessarily always true. As we know, there are a lot of people that we see in the world that are like, this is how it is and this is the only way it is, and I'm right and everybody else is wrong. Well, obviously we know that's not how it really works. So basically what they said is that we were no longer at a vibration which we could cohesively work together. So that is changing. That's changing now. We are now raising our vibration to be able to meet them again, or meet them at that frequency, which they will lower themselves to a certain degree to be able to meet us. And we continue to rise, so they won't have to lower themselves anymore pretty soon, hopefully. So a side note that they wanted me to mention is that raising your vibration is a key factor in connecting to anyone outside of the physical reality. So something to always think about on your journey. This is probably not new news for you guys, but if ever you feel like you are stuck or you're not making progress, think about the things you can do to raise your vibration. That may change a lot of stuff for you. So we're going to go into a new part here. Let me see if there's any new comments. Hello, Chanel. Lauren says, same with unicorns, right? I'm not sure which part that is about. Hello, Dee. Lauren, if you want to clarify what you mean, because I'm not sure when you commented that, because I didn't see the comments till now. Elizabeth says, I've been seeing wafts of what appears to be black or gray smoke. They move and take shape. This is a recent development. I have for a long time seen all of the sparkles that dance around, but this is new within the last few weeks. Thoughts? I see this as, I want to call it thought forms. What do you feel from these? When I see black or gray smoke, I think of a lower vibration, but tell me what you feel from it. So I'm going to move on to the next part. I can come back to questions as well. So elementals and elves, which are just two that I'm naming, have chosen, or their purpose is caring for the earth, caring for the air, caring for the water, the fire, all the elements of earth, right? And I see elves as taking care of, the very earthy elements of earth, the plants and stuff. There are many, and breaking them all down would take a really long time, so I'm not going through all of the different elementals and stuff right now, because it's already been 20 minutes and I have a lot more to share. So one thing is the gnomes wanted to really make themselves known, and they came forward very strongly around this. And my experience lately has been that the gnomes are really wanting people to understand and press upon the importance of creating this change in the world, and really us needing to show up for ourselves and for the earth and for the consciousness, for the collective, because all of the work that we do as individuals affects the collective consciousness, right? So when we do our own healing, we're actually doing healing for everyone. So it is important to recognize that, because sometimes it helps us to do our own healing when we know that it's actually going to be helping other people as well. Besides that, when you do your own healing, then you have stories to share, and you can help other people through your stories, right? So the gnomes come forward because they want us to really recognize this. And gnomes, everybody knows kind of what a gnome looks like, or traditionally what a gnome looks like. And they pretty much look like that. Their own, sometimes they're not, as fat. Like, what else do you call them? They're wide. Sometimes they may be thinner, but for the most part, they generally look how traditionally they are shown. But they're all individuals, and everyone has its own sort of appearance, right? But they work very much with the earth. So they work with crystals, they work with all of the elements within the earth, or the minerals of the earth, sorry. And they can help us in understanding how to work with the earth itself and with crystals, and bringing them more into our lives. Now, I feel like I could do a whole video on gnomes, and they really wanted to make themselves known here. They wanted to show up, but I feel like there's like way too much to really fit in this video. So maybe we'll come back to them. We'll see if we have enough time. Um, Elves have, I think I mentioned this earlier, that elves have been a lot more present lately. They used to really be quite shy. I don't know if shy is the right word because they're not really shy, but they've really like stayed behind the scenes and not really stepped forward as much for humans. But lately they've been doing so a lot more, and it really shows the growth that we have had. Um, and then fairies. So when we think of the traditional fairy, when you think of the traditional fairy of the ones that fly around, which they don't necessarily look, they don't look like Tinkerbell, but they fly around and they have this lighter, fun, joyful energy. They can help us really connect with our inner child, really build that connection within ourselves with our creativity. They can help us with lightening up the energy around manifesting. And they do a lot of work on the earth as well, and taking care of the plants and stuff. I'm trying to think of some others that want to really be acknowledged here at this time that are kind of within the fairy and elemental realms. So there are the nature spirits that are taking care of the different plants. There are tree spirits. There are, when you go into the woods, so trees are wanting to be acknowledged a little bit more here. When you go into the woods or you're connecting with trees at all, like if you're walking through the forest, then you can begin to feel the trees around you and this wisdom that they hold. And they are like these antennas. That's the word I'm looking for. Antennas to bring in information from the divine and bring it into the earth and ground it into the center of the earth. So they hold a lot of wisdom, and they really keep a lot of that wisdom stored within them and in the earth, keeping it safe within the earth as well. And they can really help us in a lot of different areas, but they can help us to really tap into a lot of the wisdom that is stored within the earth and remembering some of that stuff that is ready to come forward again today. They also, as we know, they keep the air clean so that we have oxygen. You know, all of that is also really important because we wouldn't be able to survive without them. So it's really a good idea to, you know, say hello and thank trees as you're walking by. I'm one of those people that anytime anybody else is with me, when I walk through a forest or I walk by trees, like they know it's going to take me a while, because any tree that I feel drawn to at all, I have to go and touch it and say hello. And I tend to put my third eye on the tree for some reason. I just feel called to do that. Sometimes I'll just sit and connect with it and send out energy from my heart space to the tree and open to receive information from them. And I have a favorite tree here. Maybe I shouldn't have favorites, but he is a tree that I connected with a few years ago, and it was really a strong remembrance. And he began to show me visions and give me information about a lot of my past lives and past lives that the tree had with me, not here, but the tree in other lifetimes. And it was really a very amazing experience for me. Now, not everybody has the same sorts of experiences, and everybody's experience can look completely different. So don't judge your experience. So someone told me recently that they found a tree, and when they're with that tree, they just feel really emotional and they feel a lot of gratitude and love, and they just feel it. And I always say, you know, that feeling that you get, that is that indisputable proof, to me anyways, that they are communicating with you. Because you don't just you don't go to the mall and just start crying. You don't go, I mean, maybe if you're me, no, I don't usually just walk into the mall and cry. I mean, maybe other people's energies are affecting me, but you know that when you are sitting with a tree and you're really feeling that emotion welling up, that there's a reason behind it, and that tree is really doing some work with you or sending you information. So trust in the feeling that you're getting around things. My allergies have been really bad, and I always have a tendency to cough a little bit. I'm not going to apologize for it anymore, though. Elizabeth says, I'm excited and intrigued. That's interesting. I don't know. Let's look at that a little bit later around those energies. Rebecca says, I feel that wisdom and guardianship from the big saguaro, I don't know if I say that right, cactus in the Sonoran Desert of southern Arizona. That's awesome. And I totally like get that, because yeah, cactus is like a tree in that sense, right? I'm sure that they hold lots and lots of amazing energy. Chanel says, I love connecting with trees. I also stand with my third eye on them. So much emotions in them. Yes, yes, absolutely. Elizabeth says, I definitely cry if I'm in the mall. I suppose it depends on like what you're crying about in the mall, because yeah, other people's energies, but maybe, you know, you're walking by a pet store and you're crying because all of the pets locked in the cages. You know, there can be different things to cry about in the mall, but it's a different sort of emotion, right? Unicorns. Let's talk about unicorns a little bit. Unicorns are totally different energy. They are, you know, like I said before, they are that more, the angelic type energy, right? They're still very magical, and they really can remind us of that magic of who we are. They can help us remember who we are. Although all of these beings can do that, the unicorns work in the heart space to help you open your heart to connect to that. They can help you to open your heart to connect with other people. They can help you to connect to yourself and your passions and your desires, and that connection of who you really truly are underneath all of the conditioning and all of the programming that you have from this lifetime, to really begin to let that go, so that you see how amazing you are. So they're amazing for, you know, self-love, self-acceptance, shame. They can help you to release that shame. Although when we talk about mermaids, we're going to talk about shame some more, because they even go deeper with that, I think. It depends on what the shame is about. They help us, what they said is they help to heal the wounds of distrust. And they just do a lot of really powerful heart healing work. Now, when I work with unicorns, yeah, they do a lot of work on the heart space, but often they come in to bring in a really powerful, higher vibration to begin to shift energy within you. So they come forward for other things in my work. For me, they came forward the other day, and they were standing in a circle around me with their horns on the ground, like pointing towards my feet, and they were bringing in an energy and just circling around me. Like they just kept going in this circle, and this energy just began to build within me to bring up some energy that allowed some other energy to be released. And it was a really powerful experience. They also raised my vibration in that situation, so that I was able to connect with another being who, this is a whole nother story, took me to the stars and all of this stuff, but they raised my vibration to be able to do that, or to see that at another level and feel that at another level. So they're really great at raising your vibration, for sure. And mermaids, I'm skipping ahead. Unicorns come in different sizes, different colors. There can be black unicorns. One of my clients has a huge black unicorn. He's massive. Like, I mean, you can compare the power of this unicorn to a really large dragon. So they come in different sizes. Sometimes they have wings. They just can appear in so many different ways. Is there anything else I need to share about unicorns? If anybody has any questions as we go, just pop them in. Lauren says, I love unicorns. I've connected maybe 5 times. I should try to connect more consciously. You should. And I know that you have the ability to do so, but they are amazing. Chanel says, I got my unicorn tattoo on my forearm. Horn points to my heart. Absolutely love unicorns. Yeah, and I have my unicorn tattoo on this side. I'm reversed on here and it confuses me. But yeah, I have a unicorn right here. I love that the horn points to your heart. I love unicorn energy, such beautiful heart space work around myself. Yes, they can really help us to learn to accept and love ourselves for who we are, and not to release that self-judgment. So mermaids is actually a great one to step into next, because of the energy that the mermaids bring in. But first of all, mermaids are here to they take care of the waterways on Earth along with other, water elementals. They clean and purify the water for us. And they take care of the animals in the water. So they have a very strong connection to like the whales and the dolphins and other fish. And they have a very strong passion for this, and they want us to really recognize the importance of, taking care of the water on Earth. But they're also very present for us as humans right now and have come forward very strongly in the past several years. In fact, I have many clients that are incarnated mermaids, which we'll talk about later. But they help humans heal these inner wounds of self-hate. They actually use the words self-hate because I think we don't realize how much we do tend to hate ourselves, even if we hesitate to use the word hate. But we really don't accept ourselves. So self-hate, distrust of self, and shame. So they help a lot with shame, especially anything around sexuality. Mermaids stand in their power. So they can help us to stand in our power, and they don't hold shame at all. So mermaids don't hold on to shame. They don't hold, it's like how they show it to me is like they can't hold on to that frequency of shame. So they can help us to shift that, and they love themselves and they don't judge. So they don't judge themselves, they don't judge us, and they help us to shift that energy. It's really nice to work with beings who don't judge us, right? A lot of times, I would say that sometimes it feels like elementals and gnomes, especially, they judge us a lot. They're changing that a bit because they're seeing more of us stepping up and doing a lot of work and doing a lot of good. So they don't judge us as harshly as they used to, I guess. But mermaids don't really judge us. Now, everybody, like all beings, like have their own individual personalities, each of them. So, it can be a little bit different, but this is the energy that they brought in and they wanted me to talk about. And I wouldn't have really thought about it before that they didn't judge us, but that's what they said. They don't judge us. So when we tend to, get caught up on things, if we're holding a lot of shame, then we're really embarrassed about it. We don't want to talk about it, and we don't want to share that with other people. It's harder to talk to counselors, therapists, coaches around shame, around especially like sexual shame. I know that there's other shame as well, but that sort of shame, we have a tendency to just hold on to it because we don't know how to release it. We don't have a release for it because we don't want to tell anyone. So working with the mermaids can really help to shift that, because when it comes to sexuality, like they are completely open. There's no judgment. And I probably shouldn't use the term mermaids here. I should have said mere people, because they are male and female. They come in different sizes, shapes, and colors. So they are a variety of appearances. The other day I had a session with a client, and we went into a pool of water. And there were many mermaids that came forward, and some of them were bald. Some of them were completely covered in scales. Some of them were, I think every single one of them that came forward for this particular healing wasn't beautiful by human standards, wasn't beautiful. But they feel beautiful. They feel beautiful in who they are. And this is why they're so beneficial for our own healing, because we tend to not find ourselves beautiful if we aren't the appearance of, society's idea of beautiful, right? So we judge ourselves. I'm not beautiful. I'm too big. I have too many stretch marks, whatever it may be. We judge ourselves, and we don't find ourselves beautiful because of this. And we can look at mermaids who love themselves, completely love themselves, and they're what we would consider kind of scary, or even some people might use the word hideous. They can have really pointy teeth. Sometimes I've seen a mermaid at least once who had really pointy teeth, and there was like algae, like their teeth were covered in algae. So they can look really kind of scary. You really have to not go by appearance. You have to go by what you really feel coming from the being. Is there anything else? Does anybody have any questions about them? Chanel says, mermaids, my first magical being to come through for me. Yes, and I work with a lot of, well, Chanel knows this, but I work with a lot of different mermaids, and each one of them has a totally different energy. So there's one that comes forward and she's really, really big. Like I know that she has a big energy, just her energy alone is really big, but she's like, her size is quite large as well, like not normal human size. Like we tend to think of them in same size as humans. They're not always. And mermaids exist, you know, on other planets and so many different places. And I think my daughter just got home. Either that or somebody just broke into my house. So I'm gonna hope it's her. Unless it was my dog. Buses are still going by, but anyways, I guess it doesn't matter. Unless somebody broke in. But if somebody broke in, they're going to hear me talking and hopefully they'll leave. I can't remember what I was saying. But basically, just remember that things don't always look how we expect them to look. And that they come in so many different sizes and from so many different places. We're talking about them being on different planets. But also within the different magical realms. So the next one is dragons. So dragons exist in all realms. This is information that I receive, and other people have said this as well, but dragons exist in all realms. So they come in every kind of energy. So there are elemental dragons that are here and take care of the earth, the ley lines, cleaning the air, cleaning the water, obviously fire dragons, ice dragons, so many different kinds of different elemental dragons that are more present here on Earth to do work here on Earth. There are also galactic dragons that have been coming forward a lot more in recent years to bring through a lot of information and energy to help us to shift and raise our consciousness. There are Atlantean dragons, which are 12th dimensional dragons that are incredibly powerful. There are like, I can't even keep track of all the different kinds of dragons. So they come through in so many different sorts of energies, and they can help with pretty much anything. So I've had dragons come through in a very playful, light energy that may be more, like they're more puppy-like, but like a small little dragon that's like a little puppy and very excited and happy, and they might crawl all over the person. I've had dragons come forward. I'll explain some of the dragons that I work with. I work with a few different dragons that are massive white dragons with a very mother protective energy, heart chakra, and they have like this, like I'm trying to like narrow down all the things that they do, but they do so many different things. So the thing is that when it comes to dragons, we really can't label them as one thing, but these are really amazing at transmuting energy, really changing the energy of something. So when you're holding on to something, let's say you're holding on to shame, you're ready to let go of some of that shame, then they can transmute that shame into love so that you can change the energy of that. Dragons for me were some of the first ones to come forward for me on my spiritual path, and the energy that they brought in. My connection with the dragons is incredibly strong, and when my first dragon came forward for me, I cried for like 3 days because of the intensity of the energy, and it was exhilarating and really, really exciting for me, but the energy, like vibrationally, I was having a really, really hard time. At the same time, I was so excited, I didn't even really care, but there were moments where I just wanted to curl up in a ball, like I couldn't hardly handle the intensity of that energy. But I wasn't at a vibrational level to really be able to experience that like I do today, or understand it, because it was so much. But it was in working with her and understanding love at this greater level, because she really showed me what love is beyond what I could have comprehended before that. It really helped me to understand things in a bigger way. So they can just help with a lot of different things. So beneficial to work with. Let me see if there's anything else on my notes that they wanted me to talk about for sure. Very protective energy oftentimes. and very, very wise. I know that, you know, they're all individuals, all different personalities, but wisdom is definitely like something that a lot of dragons have, for sure. And they come in all sizes, shapes, and colors as well. Sometimes they're showing me this now, so I guess I'm supposed to mention it. Sometimes they do have like feathers on them. Sometimes they don't have legs, like the Chinese dragons don't have legs. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they have wings. Sometimes they don't. So all kinds of different ways. They can have, I think I said feathers, but I think I'm being shown fur, like a fur type. It's like a texture, like a softer texture. I want to say it's kind of like fur that they can have on them as well. So the message from all of these different beings, and those are kind of a gist of some of the different magical beings and different realms that they can come from. They're asking us to remember who you really are, to remember why you chose to incarnate at this time. Remember that you chose to incarnate at this time for a reason. And you may feel a connection to things because you have been one. So you may be an incarnated mermaid, which is one that I see the most often out of all of the people that I work with. I would say a decent chunk of them have been a mermaid in a past life or multiple past lives. And the reason why you're coming forward in this lifetime is because you're able to bring through those teachings and that energy, that mermaid energy, to help other people to remember and to recognize the importance of this work. And you have this deeper connection in a different way. So you carry that mermaid energy, or whatever it may be. So maybe you're an incarnated, you know, you were a fairy in a past life or past lives. Maybe a dragon. There aren't as many dragons, but it does happen. Unicorn. I would say pretty much any of them. You could have been one in a past life. So the reason that you may have chose to incarnate as a human now, because you were meant to be that bridge and bring through that information. So listen to that within yourself. And when I work with people, I help you to understand this and to kind of understand like this greater mission that you may have based on, you know, these things that you have done or how you have lived in the past. And I help you to reconnect with that energy as well. And you have that understanding of what is really happening because you have experienced things in a different way than most humans, I guess. Let me see if there's any more comments. Chanel says, yay, dragons. Lauren says, unicorn was the first for me. That's awesome. Hello, Lynn. Dragons. Chanel says, awesome. I love them. Chanel says, I get a lot of my safety from my dragons. I feel them behind me, protecting me and guiding me through life. Yes, 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 yes. Totally agree with that. When I was going through my divorce and I was thrown out of my home and I had to go stay at my mom's house for a little while, and I was feeling a lot of fear coming up and a lot of trauma, I guess, was coming up. And every time I would feel, my ex would be texting me, you know, a lot of like hate messages and stuff, and I would feel very unsafe, and I would feel these dragons coming up behind me. And even I have some small ones that would sit on my shoulders, and they would let out this roar, and this roar carried this energy that just deflected everything else. So he would send me a message, and that roar would just bounce that energy off of me. So yeah, protective. Absolutely. They can really help you to feel so much more safe if you are in situations where you're having a hard time staying grounded and present in your body, especially. But they can help with so many things. Like it's amazing. Lauren says, I've seen them a few times when I needed protection or help. Yes. Elizabeth says, thank you. I'll catch the rest on replay. Have to go get Lucian. Okay. No worries. So how do you connect? So elementals, fairies, nature spirits, trees, they'll kind of like to receive gifts. They kind of work on this exchange sort of way, right? So we give them something and they'll give us something. So you can bring them gifts of crystals. I like to give crystals because I have, like when I'm not wearing any, but when I have my little bracelets and they break, then I have these little chips, crystal chips. I put those in my pockets and I'll give them to the fairies. I give them, and then, excuse me, I order a lot in bulk as well. So I'll bring like little quartz crystals and just kind of whatever I feel called to, I guess, at the time. And that's usually when I go like into nature, when I'll go out into the woods and I'll do that. But when I'm at home, then I can give them. I actually have a tree spirit in my front yard that really likes the banana smoothies that I make. This is banana blended with almond milk, and that's it. And I'll just put it in a little dish and I'll put it out there, and he's just happy as a clam. He loves it. And he'll even go to other people. If I don't do it for a while, he'll go to one of my other psychic friends and be like, hey, she hasn't been bringing me any. So it's kind of hilarious, actually. So they do like chocolate. You got to be really careful because animals, it's poison to a lot of animals. So you don't want to just like set chocolate out on the ground and then some dog comes along and eats it. But you know, if you have a safe place to put it, I used to have like this little candle holder that had a cage around it that I could hang in the tree. The problem with that is then the ones that don't fly can't reach it. So I felt like I was, some weren't getting it. But one thing that you can do, and I've done this before as well, is I'll just put out some dark chocolate while I'm sitting outside, and then I'll tell them, okay, you guys go eat this dark chocolate, and they don't like physically eat it. They absorb the energy of it, I guess. And so it's still sitting there, but I'll like, you don't want to eat it afterwards. Like you just take it and throw it away or whatever. If it's chocolate, I would probably throw it away in the house, but just give them different offerings and build up that connection with them, or try to build up that connection with them before you start to ask them for favors or ask them for help with things. But another big thing, it's actually a huge thing and really, really important, is to do things to take care of the earth. So when they see you, they read your energy and they know your intentions. They know, you know, if you are really wanting to, you know, help clean up the earth or whatever it is that you may say you're doing, they can read your energy and they know what is true. So picking up garbage, recycling, limiting your plastic use, using reusable bags, everything that you can possibly do that is good for the earth or helps the earth in some way is really, really important. Picking up trash when you, like if you go to the park, carry a bag, pick up trash as you go, things like that. See if there's anything else that they want to talk about. Does anybody have any questions about connecting with them? Lauren says, my friend's wedding was on Monday outside and it was pouring rain. We were so worried it wasn't going to stop in time for the ceremony. So I meditated and asked the elementals to stop the rain for a few hours for the ceremony. I'm pretty sure it worked because it did stop, and we were the ceremony and pigs, and we did the ceremony and pigs with not a problem. Yay! Yes, we can absolutely ask for things like that. Totally. And once you build up a relationship with them, so I go to the same spots, I connect with a lot of the same beings, and then I have my guides, a lot of elemental and different magical nature spirits, fairies, a lot of different ones that are my guides that I work with all of the time. And so I built up that relationship with them, and I built up a relationship with the ones where I go out into nature, and in that, then I have this ability to be like, hey, I really need some help in shifting the energy around this, or I really need some help with this, and I can bring these things to them. So I'll give you guys an example. Lauren's example is wonderful because that's a physical representation of what they can do. And And then for me, I was asking about like my move. I want to move to the UK. So I had said, is this really a reasonable thing for me to even be thinking about and considering right now, or should I be, manifesting a different home here and thinking about that, maybe in 10 years or after my kids graduate? And they said, actually, they didn't say anything right then, but I had this conversation with them. I'm sure they said other stuff. But then I go to get in the car and I start hearing the song over and over and over. And it's the John Denver song that's about, I can never remember the title of the song, but it's an old song and it's about coming home, right? And that pull to go home or whatever. I actually looked up the lyrics and I can't remember, but I heard that song over and over in my mind and I was trying to sing it and I didn't really remember the lyrics. I'm like, oh, I'll just turn on the radio. And I was just joking because, this is like an old John Denver song and my radio stations are like all modern music, pretty much, maybe 90s, 80s and not 80s, but 90s music, maybe. But this is way beyond that. And I turned on the radio and that song was on the radio. So I freaked out and I was like, okay, I need to see the lyrics. Like I knew some of the lyrics about coming home and a road. Can't think of what it is. But anyways, I knew some of it, but I looked it up and the lyrics are all about coming home and feeling that call to come home. And I was like, okay, they're telling me that I will be coming home because that's what I feel is my home, is the UK and going home to the UK. So they were telling me keep manifesting that, keep focusing on that, and keep, getting into that energy. So yeah, they totally answered me in that, like pretty much right away. I went for a walk and kind of forgot about it a little bit, but country roads. Thank you, Dee. Country roads. So they can help in, so many different ways, but manifesting is one of the ways that I work with them quite a lot. One thing to always remember is that not all of these beings are for our highest good. Connecting with them wouldn't be for our highest good. So there are different fairies and elementals that don't have our highest intentions. So anytime that you go to connect with any of these beings, including dragons, although there's not very many that aren't, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily bad, but they might not have your highest intentions. So they might just be about, helping you get famous or something, but getting famous might not be for your highest good. Or getting rich, but maybe not in the best way, right? So you always want to make sure that you're connecting with the highest good. The deepest of love, all of that. Unicorns, I don't know that there are any unicorns that aren't of the highest good. I kind of see unicorns as not really having an ego, but any other being that has an ego, you want to really be very clear that you are only connecting with those of the highest of integrity, the deepest of love, and for your highest good. So connecting with them all on deeper levels can be incredibly helpful and important for you. This can be the one thing, that key factor that you need to add to really deepen that connection within yourself, to who you really truly are, and that magic that you hold and are meant to bring into the world. So, tap into that a little bit more. Take advantage of them being present and ready to help us so that we can make that bigger impact in the world, so that you can make that bigger impact in the world. So I have a few different announcements. One is I am inviting you to sign up for my newsletter, where you will receive a free quiz, which is to see which magical beings you would benefit from working with at this time. So it's not a complicated thing. It's just you go through, you see which ones really are, yes, I feel this, yes, I feel this, yes, I feel this. Okay, definitely should be working with mermaids. The description is right there about how mermaids can help you. That's just an example. It's absolutely free, and it's very pretty because Dee, who is on this live, created the PDF, and it's absolutely beautiful. You also get a free meditation to connect with magical beings. So this meditation was channeled by me. It holds the energy of the magical beings so that they can come in and connect with you, whichever ones you are meant to connect with at any given time. So you can do it over and over again. It can look a little bit different every single time. It is not a super long meditation. I want to say it's under 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, but you can pause it to allow it to play out for longer so that you can connect more deeply. And it has that energy there no matter what. So you get that just by signing up for my newsletter, both of those things. When you sign up for the newsletter, you will immediately get I don't know if it pops up or it goes to your email. I think it goes to your email maybe, but you'll immediately get a reply or something, and it will have the link to download the quiz. And then you will get an email that is supposed to go out right away. And that email will have the meditation, a link to the meditation, which is in Dropbox, and it will also have a link to the quiz if you missed it the first time. So definitely sign up for that. The link is in the description of this video as well, so you can do that afterwards. I would also like to invite you to deepen your connection with the magical realm. So as you know, this is like an hour-long video, maybe a couple minutes longer than an hour. Yeah, a couple minutes longer than an hour because it looks like we're at 3 o'clock right now. But so I can't really go super in depth about these different beings and how to connect with them. But definitely it gives you an idea of what it is, and you'll have an idea of how much you feel connected to them, or if you want to deepen that connection with them. So I am offering you, or I am inviting you to deepen your connection with the magical beings. And I have a workshop that I'm running May 13th through the 17th. It's $47. It's 5 days long. I will be teaching way more in depth about the magical beings. Most of them that I talked about here, but I know that, you know, we're going to go much deeper into each thing. So the teachings will probably be around an hour each, and then there will also be a healing. And the healing alone is worth the $47, but this will allow you to get a lot more information about them. So the link is in the description for that as well. You can also win a spot into that workshop. So if you sign up for the newsletter, then you will be entered to win that free spot. So $47 value, you were entered to win. You can live anywhere in the world. The workshop is going to be held in a Facebook group, private group. I will be doing it on live videos. I will be, you know, answering questions, channeling as I need to for different things that come up. But you can win it all for free. So make sure that you sign up for the newsletter so that you have an opportunity to get it for free. If you are called to do the workshop and you sign up for the workshop and then you actually are picked as the winner, I will just refund you the money. So don't worry about that. If you feel called to it, I'll just hit refund. And I'm going to pick a winner on Saturday evening. So probably around 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is midnight Eastern Standard Time. On Saturday, I will pick the winner so that I can get that to Susie so that she knows she's going to make sure to get that done on time. That gives you, you know, a full day and a half, pretty much, at least a day. I know it's like 6 o'clock on the East Coast already. Let's see if there's anything else I need to talk about. I also posted all my links on social media. If you have like your favorite platform, if you want to find me on, you know, Instagram, Facebook. I also have a Facebook group called Sorceress's Circle. I do teachings every week. I channel each week in there, so that's there as well. If you want to learn more about magical beings and the things that I talk about, then you definitely want to get in there, and then my Facebook business page as well. So does anybody have any questions? Chanel says, I love that song. Yep, go home. Yep. Lynn says, that's what I need to know. Which ones are the right ones? Yeah, that quiz will help you to see. There'll probably be more than one, but as you look through the questions and you'll be like, oh my goodness, I clicked yes, or I felt yes for every single one of these. I definitely need to deepen my connection with these beings. Instead of using elementals, I said fairies because elementals carry so many different energies, but I do have gnomes. So I have fairies and gnomes, and mermaids, unicorns, and dragons. So it gives you an idea, and it also has, you know, it all laid out there so that you have an idea. Instead of having to take notes from this live, you can actually just refer to that for some of the things that the different beings help with. Chanel says, how amazing. What if we already subscribed to your newsletter? I'm not sure. Go ahead and subscribe again. I'm pretty sure it will let you. Maybe it won't. If it doesn't, let me know. Maybe it doesn't. So if you already subscribed to my email, I'll probably send out another new an email, and so that those on that are already my subscribers can sign up. I thought about that before, and then I kind of forgot. Lynn says, oh, great, thank you. You are welcome. So it looks like there's not any other questions. If you have questions, come up later, post them here, and I'll come back and check in. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun. Excuse me. Thank you, Susie, for hosting this. This was awesome. It's always fun to do these things in other places and see some new faces and some familiar faces as well. Thank you guys, all my loyal followers and friends and clients who show up all kinds of places. It's awesome to see you here too. And I will see you guys around in other places. Bye.